Hi there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Cloud-Based Mayhem. My conversation today is with Burkhard Martens, Burki, who wrote the very famous Bible that I'm sure most of you have, and if you don't, or if you haven't read it, you must go out and get it today. Check out the show notes. There's a link. It is terrific. It first came out in 2005, and the third edition was just published in collaboration with XC Mag, and they have upgraded it and updated it, and new pictures and some new illustrations. But the principles are all exactly the same as they were back in 2005, and they have been for thousands of years. And it's all how thermals work and how we can use them to go big and go far and have more success in what we do. It's an incredibly densely packed book. It was one of those that when I first started flying in 2004 and kind of started getting into XC a year later or so, I just would read and then read it again and then read it again and read it again. It's kind of complicated stuff when you're first starting to fly, and then it becomes a little bit second nature. But it's a terrific book, and we had a lot of fun chatting, and I always am so impressed with folks who can do this, have these conversations in very much a second language. But Burki was great. We had a blast, and we don't touch too much on the book. We talk more about just his career and his passion, and he and his wife chasing it around the world since 1989. And it was a lot of fun, and I think you'll enjoy it. So without further delay, enjoy this talk with Burkhard Martens, the author of Thermal Flying and several others. Cheers. Burki, it's great to have you on the show. I feel actually badly that I haven't had you on earlier. You were you didn't know this, but you were my mentor back when I got into the sport in 2004. Your book in 2006 was a Bible for me. I just read it.
Really?
I would read it, and then I would read it over, and then I would read it over. And, because when you're new to the sport, these concepts are quite difficult. And they, it's, you have put it in a way that people with very little experience can really understand. And now, more than 16 years later, and 4X Alps and all the stuff that I've done in the sport, I just got your new edition, the 2021 third edition, and just a couple of days ago. So I haven't had a chance to go through the whole thing, but I'm reminded by just still how valuable and dense it is, with so many wonderful concepts on how to go up. So congratulations. It's been quite a journey, I'm sure, for you.
Thank you for the nice words.
I wanted to, right in the opening of the book, you've got kind of a new forward from you. You started in the late 80s. You were an OG. You were a gangster back in the days. You've been at this a long time. Can you give me a little bit of your pre-writing the book?
This is a long story. I started flying in 89, and very fast. I was an engineer. It was my job, and I was flying for 4 years, and then I stopped my engineer job and only flying. Flying was my life. First, I started at UP. I was a selling manager from UP, and so I got to a lot of schools, and I know a lot of schools in Germany and all in Europe. And after some years at the school, it was no, not at the school, at the UP and also area. I have done the selling. So I knew a lot of schools, and then I started my own school with a friend together. And the whole time I was flying competitions and a lot of cross country. But when you are running a paragliding school, then you don't have time to fly a lot.
Sure.
If you have bad weather, then you make a theory with the students, and then you have time, but in bad weather. So and this was altogether 11 years, 4 years the selling and 7 years the school, paragliding school. And then in this time I was writing a lot of articles. in magazines, in the German DHV and former times it was a Gleiche magazine. And once I was running, it was 16 articles over 2 years in the magazine. And then people came to me and asked me, hey, take all your articles you have written and then you have a book. But when you're running a paragliding school, you don't have time to do this. Yeah, it's a lot of work. So after 7 years of running the school, I was selling my part of the schools, and it took me 1 year. And in this year, I have done the layout, the concept for a paragliding book. And the problem was with my concept. I was looking for a publisher, and I could not find one. And then was the next problem. I have spent nearly 1 year for the layout to do the book, but nobody want to publish this. And then and I was thinking this should be the best book ever, and what to do, and cancel the whole thing, or do it all by my own. And then I tried to do it by my own. This time the digital photography was coming on, and then I was doing some different courses, advanced courses for me. One was to make a writing course, how to write. Then Adobe InDesign, how to make a layout.
Geez.
And the pictures, how to make the pictures, and how to work with the pictures with Adobe Photoshop. And so I have done advanced courses in all these 3 things. And then I take the next nearly a year to write, to lay out, to set the whole book in German language. Yeah, and this was and in 2004 I have brought out the first edition of the thermal flying in German language.
So you self-published it. It was something you did totally on your own.
Yes, everything I have done by my own.
Oh my gosh! I don't know if you know this, but I just did my own book, my first book through Cross Country Magazine. But I can't imagine. I mean, they did so much of the heavy lifting. I just had to write, and they did all the stuff that you're talking about. I mean, if I had to do all that, I'd be 10% through right now.
Yeah, and when the book was ready, I was gone to a printer, and they printed me 7,000 books, and then a big truck came and brought me 7,000 books to my home. This it was 8 tons of books.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, this was very interesting because I don't know how to sell so many books. I'm on my own, and but in my time, I was selling to all the German schools, the paragliders from European area. I have known the most of the schools in German language, the Austrian and German, and so they had a very good contact with a lot of them. And the normal books they are selling over the books in the cities, but my book was very special for the small paragliding scene.
Yeah,
and so
very specific.
Yeah, and so the most selling I have done was over the paragliding schools, and because I know the most of the schools, the selling started very, very fast, very, very high quantities.
Okay.
So yeah, and then a very funny thing was I want to sell the book through the DHV, the German Hang Gliding Association, and they said if the book in the second edition. We sell it because there are some mistakes inside, and we want to sell a perfect book. And I said, oh shit, the DHB is a most important reseller for me, I was thinking. And they said, no, we don't sell your book. Yeah. And then, yeah, but the enthusiasm in the paragliding scene was so great, so enormous, that I sold the 7,000 books in 2 years.
Jeez, that's amazing. Wow.
Yeah, this is incredible much.
Yeah.
And the second edition, the DHB was also selling my book.
Well,
Very funny.
There you go. So were you just, did you have a little car and you're just loading it up and delivering it to all these schools and driving around Germany? Was that how you did it in the beginning?
In the first time, I have a camper van, and I said I stopped with the school, and so I have the time to write the book and then sell the book. And I was flying very much in that time, and traveling a lot with my camper van. And every time when I started, I put a lot of books in my camper van. Yeah, I was visiting the schools, show them the book, and they every school took 10 books in one row.
And it's been, I didn't realize this until I got this edition, but it's been translated into a bunch of different languages. Mine's only in English now, and that's the plan. In a year they'll do German, and another year they'll do French. It'll take a while, but have all those different translations also been very successful? Because that's a lot of effort to make to translate a whole book.
Yeah. Because of the big success in the first years, I asked the Cross Country magazine if they want to translate my book into English language. The risk was too great for them, they said. And I said, hey, it's the best book ever. And the selling in Germany is absolutely high. And they don't want to do that and to take the risk. So I said, oh, then I have to translate it. Mats Syndergaard, I know from competition flying, he said, yes, he can do that. So he translated, and I have also done the layout, the concept, the InDesign, and only the whole text Mats translated, and I have done the first English version also on my own.
Whew. Burkhard, tell me what the main differences between the previous edition and this edition is.
There are not so many things new there. I will read you some things I have saw. There are new fonts, better readable. Then there are some corrections in pronunciation. Some small pictures are now bigger and better understandable. But these are only little things. The layout at some places is clearer and better to understand, or some new diagrams, but not a lot. And nice, Ed Ewing has written 2 pages about world weather forecast. It's completely new.
Yeah, these are all great things. I'm going to take it with me tomorrow when I go to Turkey. I don't usually bring books, but I look forward to re-exploring and reacquainting myself with your book when I'm in Turkey at the World Cup. I think it'll be great.
Yeah.
How is your livelihood now? Is it just through the book, or is it through a combination?
It was a combination. I was running a school, but I have done a lot of courses in cross-country courses, thermal flying courses. I've done some holiday trips with paragliders, cross-country and thermal flying courses, and selling the books. And because the selling was so great, there was also the possibility to earn the money with this. Yes.
Burki, in your arc of your flying that started in the late 80s and your time at UP, and then the writing of the book and all the additions and translations, you also really chased or still do, I don't know, but they chased, big distance and records and competitions and X
Yes.
contest.
Yeah.
Have you been able to remain passionate and very keen on the sport throughout, or have there been kind of ups and downs?
Yeah, I ups and downs. I was very enthusiastic and motivated to fly cross country and also long time competitions. And I got four times German champion in cross country flying. Downs. I had an accident, could a half year not fly, but when I could fly again, I was full-time pilot.
Okay. So not that many downs.
Yeah.
Mostly ups.
No.
And
Yes, and I was motivated and also traveling. I love traveling and see new flying sites, and yeah, flying is my world.
And your wife is a pilot, correct?
Yeah, she's also a very good pilot. She was Bavarian champion in paragliding.
Wow. So did you both meet through paragliding?
Yes, we meet. Not the first meet was not with paragliding. She was looking for a new place to live in my hometown, and she asked me to put a paper on the window of my school.
Fate. Sounds like fate.
Yeah, but I met her in the mid 90s, but she is also flying since '89.
Wow, really? Holy cow! And
yes,
do you have kids?
No, we don't have kids.
If you had kids, would you get them into flying?
Yes, yes, I think.
Seems like it with mom and dad flying.
Yeah.
Is that ever difficult on a relationship with both of you being pilots, just in terms of the risk and time it takes, or is it kind of work together and works okay?
Oh, it's more work together, have the same hobby, do the same things.
Beautiful.
And we are also since some years very big fans of mountain biking, but also both. So in the moment we are traveling, flying, and biking.
Wow. And are you both still chasing distance quite a bit, or do you do any competition still, or is that more?
No, I stopped competitions some years ago. The last years, we also have done written two books in the mountain bike scene.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
yeah.
And you work collaboratively on the books together, you and your wife.
On that books, we are working together. And the new editions for thermal flying, or the German version, I'm doing by my own.
Okay. Let's dive into your book. I can't imagine there's too many pilots out there that don't have a copy of your book. You said something interesting in the last couple of weeks when we were putting this together, which I think is a really good thing. You said, actually there's not a lot of new information in the new edition, which really means that you covered a lot of ground in the one back in 2005. And as you say in the book, wing design has changed radically since those days. But the concepts are still, the same that we would have done in the 1800s had we had these wings. Thermals still work as they're supposed to work. But
the flying with the new wings is a little bit different. But the principle of the thermals, the principle is the same since 1,000 of years, I think. The sun is heating the ground is heating the air, and the air is rising up.
Yeah.
And all things what has to do with this is the same.
How did writing the book improve your own flying? Because there is a ton of information there. And I know that most pilots, once they have a few hundred hours, unless they're a meteorologist, we all have kind of understandings of things like lapse rate and all the little things that we learn in flying, but they're very detailed in the book. And I can't imagine did you have all of that knowledge and just put it on paper? Or I would imagine there was quite a bit of your own research and especially doing with the drawings and the illustrations you've taken our invisible world, which we cannot see, and put it in a book. That's a big bridge to cross.
Yeah. Because I'm flying so much, I have a lot of experience by my own, especially very interested in experience I have written down. But first, I was studying all books I can get from the sailplanes, from the deltas, and from the hang gliders. From the paragliders, there was not so many, and I was studying all books I can get in my hands. I think the secret of the book, because it's so successful, is the way I am learning. I was writing the book in that way. Have a picture or a diagram, a sketch, and small words to explain what is seen in the diagram, sketches, or the pictures, and use easy words to explain complicated things. Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, and because of the experience you said, all experience I'm doing in the air, I said, oh, what's that? How can I bring this information on a picture? When I cannot do a picture, then I make a diagram and to explain these things.
Did you do all the illustrations and diagrams too? You did all that as well? Jeez.
Yeah. some diagrams should be new done in the next edition, but. But I have done everything by my own.
Holy cow, that's a proper labor of love. I can't imagine. There's so much there. When you're thinking back to your school days, when you have a school, what are the concepts with new pilots that you think are most important? And it not necessarily even thermaling, just in terms of, okay, you're very excited. You're coming here to learn how to fly. Here are the 3 most important things you need to know about this sport, about your future, your undertaking.
The most important thing is that they should fly safely, that they should not have accidents, and the most important thing, the weather is stronger than you. The weather is the most important thing in flying. Strong thermals is bad. The lee side is very bad, and to explain that, and not only to explain, then they should learn and they should do it. And these are the 2 different things.
Yeah,
they should not only know that, they should do that, what I say.
Right. Follow the instructions. Don't get too, don't go out on a limb too much in the beginning. Interesting.
Yeah.
I used to say something that was very wrong in this podcast often, and I don't know where I even picked that up, but I used to say, once you get a sufficient amount of hours and you're flying a lot of comps and you're very current, you have a lot of currency with your flying. And maybe this is just how I felt in my own flying, but the thermaling becomes kind of second nature, and the gliding is what I have always found maybe a little bit more tricky, certainly trickier to explain. How Kriegel glides is a very, it's an intrinsic thing that he feels, that's very difficult to pass off. But the really good pilots that are consistently at the top of, the World Cup and that kind of thing, they all say, no, it's actually, thermaling is still the most important thing and the hardest thing, because it's just to get really good at it, to go from that 96% efficiency to 100 is really, really, really hard. At that level, at the really high levels, most all the pilots technically are pretty close to one another, but that 1-2% makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And I'd love to just get your thoughts on that. You have really focused in your book on climbing, and which is obviously the most important. But my own career path, again, whatever, my own journey through paragliding, I'm really back to the climbing. And your book is refreshing in that regard. There's a lot there to try to master.
Yeah. But it's not only the climbing; it's also the gliding. You are completely right. But a good thing is to fly a lot, to fly competitions, and then you learn very fast.
Yes, because when others climb better than you, you've got more to work on.
yes, and then you see at once.
Burki, I'm looking at your book right now, and I just thought there's so many different things. It's just in a podcast we obviously can't go through it, but I'd love to just know, after all these years, more than 15 years now, what chapters do you yourself return to? What are the concepts that you find for your own flying and flying with your friends are the ones that are kind of more critical, more they play a bigger role in what we do?
For the beginners, I think is the thermal, how the thermal is rising, what the thermal is doing. It's the circling. There are so many different things in these rising thermals, and also where the trigger points where the thermal starts. This is for the beginners, but the other is this gliding, and to be safe, it's the weather parts. And everything is important if you get a complete pilot.
Yeah, you kind of touched on the mental aspect. As you get more hours, you get more respect for the sport. You understand more of the risks. In the beginning, you don't really have much of an idea. People tell you it's risky, but you don't understand.
Yeah, the real mental task. I have not so many words for this. For me, the mental. If you want to fly a lot, then you are in a good mind to get it or to be a good pilot.
That's a good. Let's go with that. What is the definition of a good pilot?
Depends on the thing. Till Gottbrad, a good friend of mine, he said he had never an accident. He's flying 30 years and has never an accident. This is a good pilot. He's also a good cross-country pilot, but not on the world level. The world level, they are also very good pilots, but a lot of them had also accidents. Some.
He was. I had him on the show, and still one of the things that he said, kind of offhand, has really helped change my outlook. He was talking about his flatland flying, and he said, most of the time he's the first off the hill. So he'll go to a place, on a good day, and he, in other words, he's taking the most risk of anybody in terms of just trying to get the most out of that day. So he'll fly first, and he said, and sometimes I get it wrong and I land 10 minutes later, and I said, oh, that must be so discouraging. On a really good day that you went too early and you bomb out. And he said, oh, Gavin, no, that's not discouraging at all. I had a safe flight. I landed safely, and now I get to go do something else wonderful with the day. You could tell it was intrinsic to him. He really didn't care that he'd bombed out. It was just totally fine.
Yeah. In the first years, I was motivated, and I would say I was over motivated. The thinking is I'm stronger than the nature. I want to go there and with full power, and I go there. And so that was the reason of my accident, where I could half a year not fly. Yeah, when you are getting older, you're getting more not so motivated to get a big risk. If the air is too turbulent, I go for landing and said, oh, it's, other pilots are flying, but now I go land and said, well, they should fly. It's not my weather. So but with this motivation, I cannot win again the cross country, I think. There for this or competitions for this or the X Alps, there you have to be more motivated than me now.
Yeah, it was interesting. I just did it's not up yet, but I just did a recording with Torsten Siegel right after the super final. He's back in Canada, and I understand. I watched the whole thing online, but I understand it was. No one got hurt. They didn't have any accidents, but it was pretty dicey. It sounded, a lot of wingtip right on the rock and quite a bit of wind. And it was a super final in the mountains, which was a first for that. And so, I've since talked to a couple others who came back from it who were very much, they were struggling with their decision making in that, they did it but they don't know if they should have done it. It was kind of too much, it's the kind of flying where it doesn't matter how much skill you have. If something goes wrong, you're in real trouble, when you're that close to the terrain, and taking that kind of risk, which, is something I think we all at certain different points of our flying, you have to come to terms with. How much are you willing to take?
Yeah. The question is how many risks you will take.
Yeah. You mentioned age. Do you think that's a product of age, or do you think that's a product of, and maybe it's a combination of just your years in the sport?
I'm flying since '89, but I started with 28 or 27. So it's not the age. It's more the airtime. It's more the years you are flying. For me, it's that.
Okay, so you're the more you've flown, the less it's just okay. I don't need to push it as hard because I've done that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. For me, I have reached everything in the sports I can do, and I'm very happy with the things what I have done. And now I'm happy with nice flying, doing little cross country, doing evening flight, make a walk and fly, and these are nice things. I don't want anymore to fly 10 hours and more.
Was it hard to leave the competition scene and back off? Is it in other words, is it harder to pursue the sport when there aren't the big goals?
No, it was not hard for me. The time was finished for the competitions for me. It was fine, and the competitions were not my very favorite. It was more the cross country flying. For me to make my own flight, not in the hurry with all the others together. Yeah. The main thing I loved was a cross country flying for my own.
Huh. What's the best place you've ever flown? If you could walk out the door today and repeat a flight, where would it be?
Oh, this is hard to say. 15 years ago, it was very clear. I was saying it's the Dolomites. The panorama flying in the Dolomites was the best. Then I was I felt in love with Fiche, Switzerland.
Yes.
So many big triangles I have flown there. In the last years, I loved more South Tyrol. The area in Spikeboden, whole South Tyrol.
Antholz, and that's
Antholz, Spikeboden was my favorite for a long time.
I think the last time, I don't know if you know this, but I'm pretty sure we met at Spikeboden a bunch of years ago, and I was there with my friend Bruce Marks, who unfortunately is no longer with us, but he supported me in the first couple X Alps, and I'm pretty sure
I met Bruce in Fish.
Did you? Yeah, he used to fly fish a lot. He used to fly fish a ton.
Some years ago.
Yeah, he loved fish. He loved trying that triangle over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And the Dolomites are awful special. That's an amazing part of the world.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna give some questions to you that came from our audience in a survey we did this last fall that are answer them as long or short as you want. Best and worst wing you've ever flown.
The worst wing.
Yeah, the best and the worst, if you can remember. From 89, you've flown just about all of
them. The best wing, I won 2004, for me, the first time the German cross-country competition. And this was with a gin glider. And I loved this so much. But today the performance is not very good if you compare with 2004. But this was my lovely wing. And And in the moment, or some years ago, it was the Chile 3 from Skywalk. It was climbing so perfect. Since I think 6 years, I'm not flying competition wings anymore. I'm flying ENB or ENC, and not competitions, more for me. So the Chile 3 was the best climbing machine ever.
I've heard that's a good one. And what about the worst?
Oh, I could not say the worst. No.
No.
To the time I was flying the glider, I after some flights I loved all of them.
Excellent. Good answer.
So I'm sponsored from Skywalk the last 10 years. And I'm not looking so much about other companies.
Sure.
I look what Skywalk. I take the B or the C glider or what I like to have. And after some flights, I'm very happy with the glider.
Burki, thinking back to when you were in the competition years or just into, the 10-hour flights when you were really going big. One of the questions that someone wanted me to ask you is, what was your process from the beginning to the end in the preparation for the flight? In other words, getting ready for it. Did it start the day before, the week before? What were the steps that you would take to prepare either your mind, your body, or whatever for a big flight from Spikeboat? You're going to go do the Antholz FAI.
Yeah. When we first planned the big flights, I have done this in the winter time. What is possible? What is a good strategy? What are the good lines? And then waiting for the good weather. And when you see the good weather is coming, every time when I will do a big flight, I'm the day before at the mountain. I don't run in the morning or drive in the night and then go to the mountain. I'm every time on the day before on the mountain to have to relax, to go in my head through the flight, what I will do. Yeah. So I prepared mental the day before. The next day, I hope the weather will be so good as I hope.
That's good advice.
Yeah, but the planning is long before.
Yeah. Okay. What can you think? When you think back on your career, what was something you learned from another pilot or your wife or at a competition? What was the one thing that you learned that made the biggest difference in your success, in your ability to stay in the sky, and your ability to go farther? What was the thing that made the most impact on your flying?
Normally, I'm also in the hurry when I'm flying, and sometimes you have to stay at a place and wait for the good high to cross a big valley. Sometimes I'm not at the cloud base, and the valley crossing is very long. And in the first years, I started the crossing, and also I have done this when it was not the perfect high to do that. So stay calm and wait for the next thermal, what brings you 200-300 meters more high, and then go. And this is not my favorite thing. Normally I don't wait and I cross. and that I learned from Thorsten Hane. He said, okay. Don't be in this hurry. Don't wait for the right time.
That's great advice. What should you talked about this a little bit already, but what should beginners avoid as they, the less than 200-hour pilots? What should they? What's a good arc for them early on?
They should think that they should not fly in bad weather or conditions. If there's not in the strong lee sides. If they have a lot of experience, all pilots are flying in lee sides. If it is not too strong, but if the wind, for me, I said in the mountain, if the wind is stronger on the ridge level than more than 20K, never go on the lee side. Mm. If it is only 10K and there are good thermals, okay, then you can go. But I don't know where is the border. Do it and do it not. Be careful and don't fall down.
That's a good one. We have to break that rule a lot in the X-Alps, especially this year.
Yes,
Holy smoke! We were flying in so much wind; it was just absurd. It was crazy.
Yes, I know that, and that's the reason I will never join you at the X-Alps. they are all X-Alps pilots are crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you're not crazy, you don't have to start there.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly.
Yeah, then you have no chance.
Solid. Okay, this is a good one. What was or still is the hardest or most demanding thing that you needed to learn or still need to learn? You just talked about, you were impetuous for many years and would leave too low. You wouldn't wait for the proper height to do a crossing. But has there been anything else that's been a real, for example, mine is I reverse turn way too much. And I always have. I'm going right. No, I think I can get it better to the left. I'm trying really hard to stop that. But, is there anything like that you have found difficult to course correct in your own flying?
Oh, I think this is a mental thing. To be in the head clear, I want to fly big distance, and I will do that, and I'm motivated. And then this is the most important thing, to be successful, to fly far, and this is the most important thing. Be clear in the head, and the mental thing, you will do that.
Burkhard, it's been a real joy. It's great to connect with you. Like I said, you are a hero for me. Your book has had a massive impact on my own flying. It's a joy to see that there's this new third edition out 16 years after, or something like that, after the first. And so congratulations. I hope sales continue to go great, and all the best to you and your wife as you travel around and explore the sky.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very happy to speak with you. I saw you and then on the X-Alps, and it was very fun to see all the good pilots to do that big thing.
Yeah, like you said, we are all crazy, but
but
guilty as charged.
I was a lot time on the computer to watch you all.
It's a good time waster for everybody, for us too, for a couple of weeks every year.
Yeah.
Thank you, Burkhard. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin.
If you find the Cloud-Based Mayhem valuable, you can support it in a lot of different ways. You can give us a rating on iTunes or Stitcher, or however you get your podcast. That goes a long ways and helps spread the word. You can blog about it on your own website or share it on social media. You can talk about it on the way up to launch with your pilot friends. I know a lot of interesting conversations have happened that way. And of course, you can support us financially. This show does take a lot of time, a lot of editing, a lot of storage and music and all kinds of behind the scenes cost. So if you can support us financially, all we've ever asked for is $1 a show. And you can do that through a one-time donation through PayPal, or you can set up a subscription service that charges you for each show that comes out. We put a new show out every 2 weeks. So for example, if you did $1 a show and every 2 weeks, it'd be about $25 a year. So way cheaper than a magazine subscription, and it makes all of this possible. I do not want to fund this show with advertising or sponsors. We get asked about that pretty frequently, but for a whole bunch of different reasons, which I've said many times on the show, I don't want to do that. I don't like having that stuff at the front of the show. And I also want you to know that these are authentic conversations with real people, and these are just our opinions, but our opinions are not being skewed by sponsors or advertising dollars. I think that's a pretty toxic business model. So I hope you dig that. You can support us. If you go to cloudbasedmayhem.com, you can find the places to support. You can do it through patreon.com/cloudbasedmayhem. If you want a recurring subscription, you can also do that directly through the website. We've tried to make it really easy, and that will give you access to all the bonus material, little video casts that we do and extra little nuggets that we find in conversations that don't make it into the main show, but we feel like you should hear. We don't put any of that behind a paywall. If you can't afford to support us, then just let me know and I'll set you up with an account. Of course, that'll be lifetime, and hopefully you're being in a position someday to be able to support us. But you'll find all that on the website. All of you who have supported us or even joined our newsletter or bought Cloud-Based Mayhem merchandise, t-shirts or hats or anything, you should be all set up. You should have an account, and you should be able to access all that bonus material now. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate your support, and we'll see you on the next show. Thank you.